Happy May the 4th, everyone, and thank you for joining me for the final Star Wars The Clone Wars review. The finale is here, the end of The Clone Wars is here, and just like last week and in the previous weeks, we are going to be talking spoilers for the entire season, in fact, as this is the finale. So if you have not seen it, please go watch it and then come back and we can discuss all our thoughts in the comments below. Let me know what you thought of the episode and the season, and let's get to it. With all the troopers after them, Ahsoka and Rex must use their wit and skills to survive the turbulent end of the Clone Wars. As you probably know, if you've joined me for the reviews of every episode this season, I've been a huge fan of the season for the most part, especially this final arc leading to the end. Last week's episode was fantastic. The previous two episodes on the Siege of Mandalore were impeccable. This episode, in a lot of ways, does not disappoint. Once again, the music is a big highlight. I had once more cold sweats on the first half of this episode watching. Even though I know these two characters survive, seeing other troopers who can't do anything about the inhibitor chip that they have that makes them execute Order 66 really lends itself to a huge adrenaline rush throughout the first half of this episode as Rex and Ahsoka are trying to survive, are trying not to kill other troopers, just stun them, and are trying to get out of the ship so they can get away safely. And there's a great scene where Ahsoka is trying to come up with a plan and Rex is just devastated because his brothers are kind of not his brothers anymore, and it breaks his heart. And one moment Ahsoka takes his helmet off and she says she does not want to kill them. As much as it hurts Rex, she will not be the cause of their death as much as they are willing to die to execute them both. And it's heartbreaking seeing when Ahsoka and Rex are trying to gain time and just stun clones because Rex sets his gun to stun instead of kill because they just want to get out of there. And you can totally feel Rex's anguish in these moments. And Maul doesn't do much again in this episode. He does one big thing, which is fuck up the hyperdrive engine on the Star Destroyer. I know they're not called Star Destroyers at this moment in time, but they are Star Destroyers. That's what I'm going to call them. And so Maul fucks up the hyperdrive engine and he eventually gets away with his shuttle where Ahsoka's trying to pull him in because she also wants to get away. And she has to make a choice between saving herself, Rex, and the droids that are helping them trying to get away and keep the shuttle and Maul. And this episode, with the help of last week's one, got me feeling a lot for these droids. At one moment when one of them dies right in front of Ahsoka, it was heartbreaking. It was really sad. But Ahsoka and Rex eventually get away. She cuts a hole in the ground for them to fall to another level of the ship, and they find another shuttle, and they get away. And Ahsoka doesn't get in the shuttle right away. She starts falling with the debris, and she is trying to maneuver her way to safety through the ship, through the debris, as Rex is trying to catch her in a good position for her to get in the shuttle. It kind of reminded me of another Disney property that should be out by now if this thing wasn't going around in the world. This is not a negative or a positive, just a fun observation that I noticed, and it felt very similar. The shots, the color palette, everything and it looked awesome. And after that, the Star Destroyer crashes. We see Rex trying to fix their shuttle and Ahsoka looking on the helmets as they made graves for every trooper, at least that they could find, with the helmets painted like Ahsoka. And Jesse's helmet was also there and had a good confrontation with Rex earlier on. And then they disappear, and that's it. There's one final scene, and I'll talk about it in a moment, but it felt like this episode was too intimate in scope. I love the music choices. I love how it focused on the right characters and on what they were feeling at this moment, with everything just imploding right in front of them. But there's a grander scope. You can tell a very intimate story that is focused on the right people, but have a grander scope. This was a single event that these two characters, Rex and Ahsoka, were directly involved at, but I felt like we needed to see them deal with a grander scope of the fall of the Republic, with what had just happened, with every single one of Rex's brothers turning evil, and Palpatine winning and the Jedi being killed. I thought we needed to have these points to really hit the characters, to really show them and make them feel how truly, utterly devastating this was. I would love see Ahsoka realize that every Jedi is dead, thinking Obi-Wan is dead, thinking Anakin is dead, thinking all hope is lost, and then making that decision to go away. Maybe seeing a communication saying that there might be younglings left out there alive in the galaxy, and she makes that choice. I think for the next chapter of Ahsoka's journey, even though we don't get to see it, and I'm not necessarily saying I need to see that chapter, all I'm saying is we need to see her make that choice, the choice of what is she going to do next. Even if that choice would be giving up, which we know she doesn't because of Rebels and the books and whatnot, we need to see characters make choices. That's what makes them interesting. That's what makes them easy to root for, and I wanted to see that. Even though this episode ends on a sour note, which I really wanted and it's really fitting, I think it misses choices for our characters in the end of it all. But I love that last scene, man. I love that last scene when Vader shows up on the planet where the Star Destroyer fell, and he sees one of the helmets from the troopers, and he finds Ahsoka's lightsaber that she dropped when she was looking at all the troopers that perished on that crash. And Vader picks up Ahsoka's lightsaber. I think he realizes that it's hers. I'm not sure what he's feeling in terms of he knows she's dead, he thinks she's dead, he knows she's alive, he thinks she's alive. I'm not sure about that perspective, but he does realize that's her lightsaber. But then he sees the Morai, and the Morai is very symbolic to Ahsoka's character, especially in Rebels, and that's why it's symbolic here, otherwise it would mean nothing. I don't know if Vader also realizes the symbolism of the Morai, because he also doesn't quite realize it in Rebels, or at least doesn't care, but I thought it was very fitting to see the new version of Anakin Skywalker and witnessing where his apprentice was last seen, or assumed to be alive at least. So in the end, this last episode of everything Clone Wars, I thought it was really good. I thought it needed a few more things to be great or to be perfect, but I really liked it. I was disappointed just because I like last week's episode more. I like the 2 previous episodes on the Siege of Mandalore more. This was a really, really good episode. To me, just didn't quite get to great. And overall, this season was great. There are 2 episodes that I really don't like, and that's the first 2 episodes with the Martez sisters. Too slow, very uneventful, don't quite connect to the whole story. We could have done without those 2 episodes, and the 2 other episodes of their arc really fit for Ahsoka's journey and to connect us to the overall story. This last one also disappointed me, but it's miles above those 2 episodes that I really dislike. This one is not even the worst episode of the season. It was disappointing in the sense that it could have done a lot more, and you could see clearly what the episode could have done to even be better, but for what it was, I thought it was really good. I just didn't love it, unfortunately. But overall, I do love this season. It's one of the best seasons of the show it ever had, and I can be really happy with this finale. So now it's time to cherish it, look back on everything Clone Wars from beginning to end, and be thankful that it was a really, really good ending. I might just start rewatching Rebels now, and maybe even Revenge of the Sith. And I am giving the final season of Star Wars The Clone Wars an A-. Now, what did you think of Star Wars The Clone Wars, my beautiful geekies? Did you love this last episode? Did you love the season? Let me know your thoughts on this finale, on the season, on Ahsoka, on Rex, on just everything that you loved and didn't love. Thank you so much for joining me in this 12-week journey. I hope we get more Star Wars content soon to talk about, and I hope to see you in those as well. Thank you so much once more. Stay tuned for many other videos coming this week. I hope to see you there, and so until then, stay beautiful, stay geeky, and don't forget to subscribe and like the video, because it really helps me and the channel out, but most importantly, above everything else, forever and always, love each other and love the movies.